those are important. We have a quorum without them, but it's always good to wait.
Wildcat, come on up. If you want to be a Wildcat, you can come up too. We'll come right over here.
Monica and Amy, can you go out and grab the rest of our council? Oh, there's Valerie. You guys grab the rest of our council. We're missing Vice Mayor Cook, Councilmember Yentes, and Councilmember, nope, that's it. Oh, Taylor.
I know how to work. Party's over.
It's not 7 Pacific time.
Party's over, Taylor. It's time to work.
We're having a quick voting lesson on the dais, so good initiation. All right, we will call our January 8th, 2019 council meeting to order, the first one of this calendar year. We'd like to turn the time over to Councilmember Ray and Councilmember Taylor, who will assist us.
Mayor, we don't have very many Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts here today. So fortunately, we have the state champion Wildcat marching band who's here. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we appreciate their willingness to serve us and help with the Pledge of Allegiance. Nick has volunteered to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if the audience would please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, to each of you, we give the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts a copy of the Constitution. So Councilman Taylor has been is willing to pass those out, but we always want to give these, especially to the youth of the community, and would encourage you to look at it frequently.
We're not going to let you guys sit down because we just have to call you back up for just a minute. So we're going to do a couple things while you're still standing here, if you don't mind. We'd like to ask Councilmember Ray to offer invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee humbly and grateful for the many blessings that we enjoy. We are grateful for this great country that we live in, for this great state, and for this amazing community. We are grateful for the individuals, the families, the businesses, the faith groups who make this community what it is. We are grateful for the town staff who work diligently on behalf of each of their residents. We're grateful for our first responders who risk their lives so that we may live more comfortably. We are grateful for those who serve from this community and from all over the United States to protect this great country. Bless them and be with their families as they're away. We ask for thy guidance and thy support tonight, that as we vote on behalf of the good residents of Gilbert, that we will do things that would be pleasing to thee. Again, we are thankful for the blessings that we have, and these things we say and ask for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
The clerk will conduct the roll call.
Mayor Jen Daniels.
Here.
Vice Mayor Eddie Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Scott Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Bridget Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Jordan Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Jared Taylor. Councilmember Amy Yentis.
Here.
The quorum is present.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, Wildcats. Now you're really up.
Now we get to talk about a very exciting thing. Now, in Gilbert, sometimes we get tired of winning, and we're winning again. And we appreciate the Wildcats of Mesquite High School for showing up tonight and being a part of this, but not just tonight, this entire year. This is representatives of the marching band, and we'll pass the microphone down, starting with their fearless leader. The Gilbert's little band with a big roar is what they go by, and these are state champions. So whenever they introduce themselves, keep thinking in your mind, state champion, as we go down the line. So we'll start with the leader. Explain to us just a little bit about the amazing band you have, and then if each one of you would just introduce yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're extremely fortunate to be recognized this evening, and just a thank you to the Gilbert Council for allowing us to be here. This season was my third year as director, and is our second out of 3 state championships and 4 out of the last 5 years. So these students before you for years and years, some of them when they were freshmen, some of them now being seniors, have held a high level of excellence for a long amount of time. We had an incredible season, and this is a collection of our leadership team here this evening. So if you introduce yourself, go ahead and put your leadership title as well.
I'm Nicole Bingham, the color guard captain.
I'm Autumn Smith, and I'm the clarinet section leader.
I'm Nikki Moreno. I'm the head drum major and vice president of band council.
I'm Dylan Hauk, and I'm the equipment manager.
I'm Tony Moreno, and I'm the freshman representative.
I'm Nick Navis. I'm the senior drum major and lead alto in jazz.
I'm Rowan Neesmith, and I'm the front ensemble section leader.
Let's give each one of these people a round of applause. The town of Gilbert and the office of the mayor has created this proclamation. I'll just read a couple parts of it. Whereas the Mesquite Wildcat Marching Band is the ABODA, Arizona State Marching Band champions for 2018. Their final competitive performance was November 17, 2018 at Sun Devil Stadium. Whereas the youth of our community possess a wide range of talents and abilities. And whereas the Mesquite Wildcat Marching Band was able to win against 30 other marching bands, even though Mesquite was the smallest band competing. Whereas this is a Mesquite Wildcat Marching Band 4th time winning the Arizona State Marching Band Championship in the last 5 years. That's unbelievable. 4 out of the last 5. That's really, really well done. Whereas the Mesquite Wildcat Marching Band worked hard putting in long hours of practice and brought great honor to Gilbert. They, even though Mesquite was the smallest band competing in the Division III with less than 55 members. Now, therefore, Jen Daniels, the mayor of the town of Gilbert, does hereby recognize on January 8, 2019, Gilbert's Little Band with a big roar in the town of Gilbert, and urges the fellow citizens to applaud and recognize the accomplishments of this group of young men and women as they represent our community in this prestigious event. I've had the chance to hear this band play twice this year. They didn't know that, but I've been to a couple band competitions and seen some football games as well. So personally, thank you, well done. And from the council and the mayor, excellent job. We just got sworn in for 4 more years, so we expect to see Mesquite for 4 more years. No pressure, we want 8 out of 9 is what we want next. So thank you for coming down and a job well done.
I have the great pleasure, since I am the council liaison to the Parks and Recs team, if I can have the Gilbert Parks and Recs Foundation and their team members please come to the front, because we have some exciting news. You can't go too far. You can come right next to me, Bill and Joanne. Thank you. All right. You have to come next to me, sir. You have to come next to me. All right. I'm going to give this over to Bill. And if you can do me a favor, introduce yourself, and then we'll just pass the mic down, and they can introduce themselves, and then we'll bring the mic back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, Mayor, members of council. My name is Bill Scalzo. I'm the president of the Gilbert Parks and Recreation Foundation. Our foundation was developed about 3 years ago, and since that time, we've been making annual donations to the Gilbert Parks and Recreation Department. Our mission is to provide funding for special projects, enhanced programs, activities and events, as well as scholarships and financial aid opportunities for Gilbert families. Tonight we're going to present, and hopefully Mayor you can join us too, a check for $15,000 to be used for the GAP program, the Gilbert Assistance Program, that helps with families who can't afford to have their children participate in all the activities because of financial need. And this is an important role of ours. I'd like to introduce our vice president and then go down the line and introduce everyone.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne McLaughlin. I'm the vice president of the Gilbert Parks and Rec Foundation. I'm going to pass it down, have these incredible, fantastic folks introduce themselves. Then we want to tell you a little bit more about how we raise this money.
Lisa Marucci.
I'm John Christensen, treasurer, and yes, we have money, so the check won't bounce.
I'm Gary Anderson.
Renee Mesnick.
Andrea Marujo.
Pete Flocken.
And Julissa Ricks.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Cook, Honorable Mayor Daniels, entire council, and wonderful folks of Gilbert. Thank you so much. This is just a pinnacle moment for us. Last year, we had the honor of presenting a check, our first check, to the town of Gilbert for the GAP program. When we started this, like Bill said, just shy of 3 years ago, our first priority was to fund the GAP program each and every year at $15,000. Last year, we wrote a grant to the Gila River Indian community, and we were very, very lucky to be successful with their generosity, and we used that money, and we raised $2,000 of our own money to match a 10% match. Well, this year, what is thrilling is the people I'm standing here with, their dedication and their hard work knows no limits. We held our second annual Night in the Park, the Lakeside Luau, in October. We had over 200 people attend, and we raised over $15,000. So we already have money for next year. So that is where this year's money came. It was all, no blood, but a lot of sweat and a few tears and a lot of smiles. If you don't mind, I'm going to read real quickly all of our sponsors: Hayden Building Corp., Dave Bang and Associates, Shade Net, Hunter Contracting Incorporated, VSS International, Southwest Barricades, Smith & Anila Engineering Company, Anasazi Animal Clinic, Energy Air, Bright Computers, Orange Theory Fitness, Exerplay, Play It Safe Playgrounds, Associated Architects, and Oh So Brewery. Without their support, we could not have done this. And without the mayor's support, our command, our director, Robert Carmona, is just truly our leader. He gives us the motivation, the support, and all the resources we need. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you next year.
We'll have another check next year, I assure you. But I wanted to add one thing. A lot of businesses helped us do that fundraiser. I'd like to put a challenge out to get some businesses in this community to match what we raise. So next year we can give more to the town for the children of Gilbert. Thank you.
Robert, where's your team? I think they need to come up. No, because this is going to go to your, so all the folks in the Parks and Recs department, please come up. And Mayor, I'm going to give the microphone to you.
Well, just on behalf of myself and the town council, our new vice mayor and our new council member, we're just so pleased and grateful for your efforts. I'm a mother of 4, so I understand from a little bit different perspective the need that we have within this community and how it affects the self-esteem and the future of our youth. So thank you to each one of you for your effort and your work. We're so grateful. It really does take an entire village, and you are an important part of that village, so thank you. All right, at this time we are on agenda item number 2, and we'd like to invite Tanya to the podium to assist us. Tanya?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Tanya Wright. I'm the accounting manager from the Finance and Management Services Department. I'm here tonight to present to you our comprehensive annual financial report, or what we lovingly in accounting refer to as the CAFR, for fiscal year 2018. Before I dig into the presentation, I just want to take a moment to thank the amazing staff in the accounting division for their work all year long, doing their quote-unquote normal work on top of a full system ERP implementation. They did an amazing job, and I just, huge shout out to them. They're great. I'd also like to especially thank Anthony St. George and Florence Schultz for their assistance in preparing this report and the audit. So quickly go over some highlights from our CAFR and audit results. During fiscal year 18, we implemented GASB Statement number 75, which is accounting and reporting for post-employment benefits other than pensions. That's a mouthful. Also called OPEB. Which we did not incorporate the in-depth notes to the financial statements in this because of the relative insignificant dollar amount of this implementation. However, you'll note in footnote number 12 that we did include individual dollar amounts for the different OPEB and pension plans to which we contribute. And then Corey will also talk a little bit more about OPEB as we get to that. We once again received a clean audit opinion, which basically states that our financial statements are fairly stated. And there were no material weaknesses identified during our audit. This is a high-level overview of our government-wide net position for both our governmental and enterprise fund types for fiscal year 2018 and then the last 10 years. Net position is the excess of our assets over our liabilities. As you can see from this chart, we have been trending upwards over the last 10 years, and that's really the result of two different things. Mainly, as Gilbert continues to grow, we continue to add assets to our balance sheet, such as streets, infrastructure, our water treatment plant expansion, wastewater treatment plant expansion. And then on the flip side, on the liabilities, we've taken advantage of refunding opportunities as well as paying debt down early when we can. So that's why we're seeing that increase in our net assets. Speaking of bond refundings and defeasance savings, I just wanted to highlight what we've been able to accomplish in that area. For fiscal year 18, we refunded our public facility municipal property corporation bonds that we issued back in 2009 for a net present value savings of $14.2 million. Looking back at fiscal 2017, we refunded our general obligation 2008 bonds for a net present value savings of $3.8 million. And then looking back from 2011 to date, which is really when we really started these efforts heavily, we've achieved a net present value savings of $63.8 million. In addition to the savings, go ahead, clap, yeah. And in addition to the savings, we've also had a concerted effort to send PSPRS money to pay down our unfunded liability there. So since fiscal year 2017, we've paid them an additional $14 million on top of our annual required contribution. In addition to that, we've prepaid both our employer and our employee contribution each year, which helps to take advantage of interest savings with the funds over at PSPRS instead of in our bank account. The Government Finance Officers Association established a certificate for achievement in excellence in financial reporting back in 1945, which I think Patrick was born then, right? To encourage state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of basic financial statements and include things that really embody the spirit of transparency and full disclosure. Items such as discussion by management of what occurred throughout the year that was significant, as well as the statistical section in the back of the report that includes operating indicators and financial data over the last 10 years. So in order to receive the certificate, governments must follow stringent requirements for what to include in the CAFR. And I'm pleased to announce that this is the 27th year in a row that Gilbert has received this award. Achieving this, as well as receiving an unmodified audit opinion, speaks to the high quality of work of the accounting division. And I'm here if you have any questions.
I don't see any questions from Council Tanya, but I really appreciate the poise and the professionalism with which you come to the podium and present and the work that you produce all year long. I also know you're really good at telling jokes, and I was wondering if you would tell the joke from International Joke Day again.
Oh, what was it? Well, they made me tell that joke, so I don't remember. But I do have another joke.
Okay, we're ready.
So because I can't remember what my password is, I use password. Get it? Oh, that's really bad. Okay.
Okay, I take it back.
Yeah, I take it back.
No, and my favorite was from International Joke Day, and you said, what's the difference between a lawyer and an accountant?
Oh,
yes. And then you read, an accountant knows they're boring.
That's right.
And so, but I loved that, even though we don't really believe that about accountants.
No, you do, but it's okay. I was in a meeting earlier and somebody said, "What do people say when you tell them what you do?" And they say, "Oh, I could never do that job." So, yeah.
Well, we're grateful that you do. I'm sure you have an introduction to make as well.
Yes, so if you have any questions as you look through the report later on, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any questions at all about accounting if you're so inclined. And next, I would like to introduce to you Corey Arvisu, the partner that audited these financial statements.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to provide you a little bit more perspective. Tanya did a great job in her presentation. I'm clearly not needed here other than maybe to provide another bad joke at the end of my presentation. So we'll see how this goes. The audit is complete. We have issued all of our reports for the 2018 audit. Just to give some perspective, we begin the audit sometime in the summer and really just conclude it here in late December. We typically have 3 staff, including myself, working on it at various times throughout that time period. Sometimes we'll bring in some other staff as well. But as Tanya indicated, the town prepares a comprehensive annual financial report, and really that just provides a significant amount of more information that would be normally than required in an audit of a governmental entity. All the information at the beginning of the report, the transmittal letter, the organizational chart, that's all additional information. All the information after the notes, all that detailed information about the town's funds, that's all supplemental information that you would not normally see. And Tanya mentioned the statistical section, which is very useful. It's used by the bondholders and refunding agencies, and so grantors very much use that part of the report as well. She also mentioned OPEB, and as noted, it did not have a significant impact on the town's financial statements this year. OPEB from the state retirement systems is in a pretty well-funded position. So unlike pensions where there's some challenges there and having to address some of the unfunded liabilities, the post-employment benefits was actually in a healthy position at the state plans. And the town has its own plan, which comparatively to some of the other cities and municipalities in the state, once again, the town is in a pretty good funded position for your own OPEB plan. Some of the other reports we issue, single audit reporting package, that was a shorter report you would have received in your packet, 15 or so pages, and that's really in relation to the audits of the federal funds the town receives, the Community Development Block Grant. We do some additional audit procedures and review of that program, and no issues or weaknesses or matters to note there. Tanya mentioned it as well, we did not have any findings to report to you. If we were to find internal control deficiencies or areas of concern, we would certainly report that to the council. None were noted this year. The last report I'll mention that was provided in the packet is what we call Communication to Governance. It's a short 3-page letter, then some additional information attached to it. If there were disagreements with management or difficulties during the audit, we'd be required to report that to you. If there were significant audit adjustments, we'd also be required to report that to you. Any unusual accounting practices or just anything unusual with as far as how the town accounts for its records and finances, we'd note that to you as well in that letter. And some reminders on fraud. That is always certainly an issue that we as auditors are concerned about, as well as management, and there's responsibilities on both sides of that with respect to that. And so there's just a little bit of some reminders there, as well as the engagement letter that management signs at the beginning of the audit, and the representation letter they sign at the end of the audit are included in that letter as well. I always like to end my presentation to governing bodies with just as a reminder, we serve you and the council. So if there's ever an interest to meet with us on your own or to discuss a little bit more the scope of the audit procedures, what we look at during an audit, we would certainly welcome to do that anytime you would request us to do so. And with that, I'll just conclude with, obviously we work very closely with the finance staff, but we do also work with individuals in other departments, whether that be community development, the wastewater and water programs, procurement, and everyone's always very helpful, responsive, which really makes for, truthfully, a more effective audit on our part when we can get the information we need and request in a timely manner. So with that, Mayor, I'll turn over to you and members of the council if there's any questions for me on the audit and some of the procedures that we've performed during the audit.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, I just want to reiterate that the CAFR, the Certified Annual Financial Report, is available on our website for any residents that may be interested in reviewing that. And thank you for your hard work, and to the entire finance team, Hawken and team, and Tanya, and all those individuals who contributed to the success of this. Thank you. That does complete our proclamations and presentations and moves us to communications from citizens. Vice Mayor Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two individuals that would like to speak to us. Mr. Paul Rodriguez, if you could please come to the front. As before, please share your name and place of residence. And you'll have a wonderful 3 minutes to speak to us.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Congratulations to the council. And Mayor, were you just reelected too? Okay, I'm sorry, I almost misspoke. Well, congratulations to all of you. Also, I want to use part of my 3 minutes to say that today is Elvis Presley's birthday. He would have been 84 years old. I think some of us are old enough to remember who Elvis Presley is. I was encouraged to read in the Gilbert Sun article dated December 2nd, 2018, that a spokesperson for the town of Gilbert made the following statement. And I don't want to mention her name specifically because I think it's a little rude to mention people by name when they don't have a chance to say, yeah, that was me. But anyway, the spokesperson for the town of Gilbert said, it is my understanding, let me start again, quote, my understanding is the town's intent in adopting the ordinance was not to solve the feral population issue and not to prevent or prohibit any trap, neuter, and return program. Okay, this is encouraging to me because, as most of you know, I'm a volunteer. I've been at it for about 12 years trying to do something about the enormous number of homeless cats in the town of Gilbert. And I also want to use 30 seconds of my time to say that when I say homeless cats, some of these cats belong to people. I'm trying to figure out who the owner is of a particular cat who's up in the Greenfield baseline area. He or she or it has a collar on, it's tan, it's got some gray in its tail. I've been going to various veterinary operations and asking them to put that cat in their file. It's a long shot, but we've actually had some success. We've had some cats that were out in the, lost or whatever for years. And by feeding those cats along with all the other homeless cats, at some point we've actually been able to reunite some of those cats with their original owners. So it's a long shot, but there's a lot of hard work to be done. I think what I'd like to do is probably send each of you another email just saying I'm open to, and by the way, there are other people that are better informed on this subject than me. In fact, maybe what I should do is just send all of you an email with the contact information of a person, an individual. I think her name is Carla Jewell. I saw her presentation a decade ago. It's a good presentation. It may be one that you could look into on your own. Thank you so much. And again, congratulations to all of you.
We'd like to invite Mr. Joe Gusick. Joe, please share your name and your place of residence, and you also will have a wonderful 3 minutes to share with us.
Joe Gusick, Gilbert, Arizona resident. Mayor Daniels, fellow town council members. I'll just continue my comments from December. And my goal was to make those comments in December and close out the year and not bring them into the forward year. But due to my brother's untimely death, I needed to go back to New Jersey and be with my family. As I finish those comments off, it's very clear that with the help of Leah and Patrick being aware of it, the public safety facility, training facility, all in at a 20-year mortgage is $133 million. Our newspaper did not publish that. That information goes into the document in page 20. My point to this is simple. as a UPS management person, to really continuously run an organization like this is supposed to be, we need to be having those kind of conversations. I'm confident, very confident, that that facility, if it was built correctly, that land is priceless. That main facility where the classrooms will be built is not a 50-year facility, it'll be a 100-year facility, and that is part of the reason why I voted yes. The other parts of the facility, the track, will have to be replaced and upgraded probably every 20 years or so if it was built correctly from day one. The fire burn unit will have to be replaced probably about in 50 years. You need to invest about $1 million a year in current dollars to maintain it. It is a town asset, and I will protect that town asset. And here's the reason why I'll protect that town asset. I believe there's a Trinity. That's a faith. That's my personal belief. I'm not asking you to believe that. But I know one that's on earth. That is educators, first responders, those firefighters and police officers, and our military. My personal opinion is they're getting shafted. They are the ones who protect us. They are the ones who always are there to help us with the moral decay of our society when it happens. And there's one thing I want to make sure with this, that we allocate and tell the people in the forward that these are dollars that are allocated. That this is a commitment. This is a 100-year commitment. And if it's a goof, similar to what your experience with Cactus Fields, then we do not take it out of their paycheck. We do not short them on equipment. We do not short them on technology and the necessary things that they need to do. Because that's for you to decide. And for you to continually pass on to the next generation and have a true continuity plan. Yes, Councilman Jens, I congratulate you on your position. I congratulate you on your new marriage. But there's one thing that you have to understand. You took an oath to impartially execute your duty, and you are one of the 7 guardians of our community. And when you do choose to step down like Councilman Peterson did, there has to be a continuity plan, that a continuous legacy of excellence is carried on in the city, or I should say, town of Gilbert. And Victor made a mistake on that. Town, the largest town in the world. I simply want you to know that when you have to allocate for those other facility upgrades today, that facility will be a $260+ million facility. Those are the types of conversations. I know Mike was given a little bit of extra time, so I'm just going to ask you for a few little more minutes. And I'll wait for the beep to stop. The scenario is simple. We need to have real conversation. And I guarantee you this, if you would have showed the community every single penny and everything they knew and showed them things, everything, one, there would have been bickering back and forth on Facebook and there would have been silliness going on. The people would have voted 90% at least. I firmly believe that. So with that, I'll end that conversation. I wish you the best of luck in building that facility. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That completes our communications from citizens this evening and moves us to the consent calendar. Vice Mayor?
Mayor, thank you. I just received a note that we're going to continue agenda item number 5 to the January 22nd, so I'll make 2 separate motions here. Did I do it in one? Okay. So what I'd like to do is move that we approve agenda item 3, 4, and 6, and that we continue agenda item number 5 to our January 22nd meeting.
We have a motion and a second by Councilmember Ray. Please vote. That motion carries with a 7-0 vote. Thank you. That moves us to our public hearing agenda items. Is there any item that council wishes to speak on?
I also received a note that agenda item number 9 will be continued to the January 22nd meeting as well.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing on agenda items 7, 8, and close the public hearing on those agenda items and entertain a motion. I move to approve those items.
Second.
Please vote. That motion carries with a 7-0 vote. And is there a motion to continue agenda item 9 to January
Mayor,
22nd?
I will move that we continue agenda item number 9 to the January 22nd meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote. That motion carries with a 7-0 vote. Thank you. That moves us to administrative items. I'd just like to draw your attention to our 2019 council liaison assignments. This was emailed out to all of you last week and has had the good eye of our town manager and team. And so moving forward, this will be our 2019 council liaison assignments, unless there's any last minute changes from the council. Terrific. Thank you all for accepting these responsibilities. We appreciate your efforts. Hope you didn't feel like it was too much of a twist your arm kind of thing. It's not my intention, but I am grateful. It takes a whole team of us, and I'm so grateful for everyone's efforts to reach out and be part of this community in every corner. Are there any other boards, commission, and committee reports from the council? Councilmember Taylor.
Mayor, I do want to just highlight once again the subcommittee on building codes, only because we're still in a public comment period. I know I mentioned this before the holidays, and on January 12th is when we're going to take down at least this round of public comment. So just for the few people that may be still following this, we encourage people to comment on building codes if that's something that they're interested and passionate about. For some people, it's cruel and unusual punishment, but others, it's very important to them, and so we definitely want community feedback on that. And Mayor, if it's okay with you and council, if Gilbert Digital might be able to just do one more plug or call for feedback sometime this week, whenever it's convenient, and direct them to the splash page that Gilbert Digital has put up. Appreciate their help. That would be great. And we're preparing to come forward in April at a time, whichever date works best for you, Mayor, to give you some recommendations and additional thoughts on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Taylor. All right. Any other boards, commissions, or committee reports? Thank you, and thanks for that subcommittee work. I know it's a heavy lift, and the team is all working really hard on that. I wanted to have a brief discussion under future meetings. We have looked at the calendar for 2019 and recognized that our Thursday night meeting schedule may be posing a little bit of an extra challenge, maybe more than it needs to. And so, again, as part of that email that was sent out with these council liaison assignments, a question about whether we might move our council meetings permanently for the rest of the year to either Tuesday or Wednesday evening. Tuesday night was the original thought, and Councilmember Taylor has responded back, maybe suggesting Wednesday night is even better night. I'm open to this discussion, but I do feel like we need to have some resolution on this. It was brought up to Patrick and to the executive team. If there is a conflict for anyone, we would want to know that, and so we could make any adjustments that we might need to. But E-Team, I think, was supportive of that thought process, and part of it for me is that we give staff direction a lot on Thursday evenings, and then we all go home and they're not back in the office till Monday. Actually, a lot of them still come into the office actually on Friday, but legitimately speaking, there's not time to act on some of that, and I'm afraid some of that might get lost in the translation of a weekend. So I think there's an opportunity here, and I apologize that I didn't think of this back in September when we were developing the 2019 calendar. That probably would have been the easier time to make these changes, but I wanted to take feedback from each of the council. Please.
Mayor, Wednesdays are not good for me, but Tuesdays would be better. I like Thursdays better, but I could do a Tuesdays.
Wednesdays are not great for me. With other commitments I already have, Tuesday night works just fine. I would prefer Tuesday night. That's the best.
I hate to be the stickler, especially on my first meeting, but Tuesday's probably the worst day for me. Yeah.
One's good for me.
Tuesday or Wednesday works for me. Wednesday, we just have to be careful with Planning Commission because they meet in here at the same time, so.
Yeah, I'm good with either one. The reason I tossed Wednesday out is just knowing school schedules when they have a lot of games and concerts. Tuesdays are typically more loaded. So people that want to participate, or even with our children, that we want to
But I'm supportive of Tuesday if that's the direction. I think there's some good opportunities for us there.
Okay, that's good. We can't have this discussion offline in a public we need to have this in a public meeting. So that's good feedback. Amy, you and I will chat, and there'll be an email that goes out to council to solidify one way or the other if there's going to be a change at all. Okay, thank you. Thanks for everybody's feedback tonight. Appreciate that. Any other discussion on future meetings? Great. Report from the town manager on current events.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. First, I'd like to start by congratulating all our council members who won their elections and congratulate Councilmember Yenitz. We look forward to working with you. You're someone who's very familiar with this, but we will look forward to working with you in your new role and thank all of you for your service.
I'm really sorry. Patrick's really bad with names.
What a caller.
You didn't do it right. I'm going to give you another chance.
Yenitz? It started with a Y. I think there should be some points given. My evaluation's
It's
in 4 months.
Councilmember Yentes.
Yentes. I think that's what I said.
Close.
Close? I've got a list.
No, really. Like, we don't let him say anyone's names during Student
No.
Citizen of the Month or anyone's names during Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. Like, we don't actually let him say town team members' names most of the time. So,
I'll let the 6'6" man on the front give you a lesson if you like. Yeah.
a lesson in the last name.
Yeah.
That's great.
I have a genetic disorder and a note from my doctor.
Nice try. Any other?
Yeah, real quick. Our Economic Development Office was recognized by the Business Facilities Organization. We got an honorable mention for Gilbert landing Deloitte's U.S. Technology Delivery Center this year. So that was great. And this year's competition, the winner was Amazon's headquarters too. So I'm not sure that anybody was going to top that. And it's like getting nominated for an Oscar in the wrong year. But very proud of the work they did and energy and effort they put into that to help us land that. It was a great team win for all of us. Lastly, you have my promise that our next accounting manager will be much funnier than Tanya's. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Report from council on current events. All right, I do.
I have
Councilman
one
Rand.
question for Patrick. Are you paying attention down there?
The attorney was giving me some guidance on future employment opportunities you may want to consider. I should give him my badge now.
Sitting in this chair, I expect you to teach me how to bake bread. I'll look forward to that.
That was store-bought.
On sale, I'm sure, in honor of Victor. It's great.
Councilman Peterson would not have wanted it any other way.
I think you're right. I do have 2 items of note as current events. There is another survey, so if you're not exhausted from the building code survey, we do have one on micromobility as we attempt to create an ordinance to allow for or not allow for, depending on how it goes, scooters and other micromobility options within the town. That survey closes on Sunday, January 13th. So any contributions people can make, we're trying to get a real good picture of where the community feels like this transportation is helping or hurting and how we can better adapt our community to either allow or not allow this type of alternative transportation. So your feedback is critically important to us. And then the last piece of current events, we do have an individual who is celebrating a half a century birthday. And this is our last opportunity in public to have this roasting. And so I'm really actually very pleased that we have Patrick Manger as our town manager in the town of Gilbert, and he stands out in many ways, humor not really being his strong suit, but he contributes so much to the town, his ability to vision, ability to grow individuals, and he has the utmost confidence in all 1,300 plus employees that we have in the town of Gilbert, and I'm grateful that he's the leader here in the town. So we do have a birthday card for you. We're just going to call you half a century for the next 5 months until your evaluation. And we are hoping that he continues to up his fashion game between now and his evaluation in May. So happy birthday, Patrick, from all of us on the council. We are grateful for your contributions. Thank you. Yep, he's 50. All right, with that, I don't think we have anything additional to add tonight, so this meeting is adjourned.